The first light of dawn spills across the savannah like a golden tide. Shadows stretch long and lean over the plains, and dew clings to the tips of brittle grasses. In this fleeting hour, the wild holds its breath. Silence reigns, broken only by the distant hoot of a night owl surrendering to morning. The wind moves slowly here, burdened by the weight of stories etched in dust and time. Among the rippling grasslands and thorn-strewn paths of the southern savannah, an old lion rises. His mane is a canvas of time, streaked with silver and tangled with burrs. Each scar on his face, each faded nick across his shoulder, tells of victories long past and battles that nearly ended him. His body moves with a weariness that comes not from weakness but from endurance, the solemn strength of a king who has known both conquest and survival. He is called Mfalme, the king in a tongue older than maps. For over a decade, he has ruled this kingdom of dust and bone, water and wind, a realm stitched together by bloodlines, by rivalries, and by the ever-turning wheel of survival. His reign has been long by lion standards. Too long, some might say. The weight of age bears down on him now, as heavy as the sun that beats upon the cracked earth. And yet he walks, still proud, still feared. The landscape he surveys is harsh and beautiful. Acacia trees stand like sentinels, casting lace-like shadows on the golden floor. Wildebeests graze at the edge of the waterhole, cautious and jittery, their ears ever twitching. Zebras nuzzle their foals, teaching them the rhythm of fear. Giraffes stretch toward the sky, graceful but wary. This is no sanctuary. It is a battleground in disguise. Mfalme pauses on a ridge that overlooks the valley where his pride sleeps. Below, scattered across the grass, lie the lionesses, sleek and vigilant. They are the engine of the pride, hunters and guardians, mothers and warriors. Around them the young ones tumble and pounce, their small roars echoing like whispers of the future. But even as they play, they glance toward him, the old lion with eyes like dying embers. He watches them not with affection, but with the distant gaze of one who remembers. He once roared loud enough to silence the stars. He once brought down buffalo bulls with a single lunge. Now his voice cracks, his steps falter. Still no lion dares challenge him here. Not yet. But change is coming. Beyond the pride's territory, invisible boundaries divide the savannah into domains of rival kings and roaming coalitions. And beyond those boundaries, danger stirs. Ewang. Males exiled from their natal prides now drift like shadows on the horizon. Driven by hunger, ambition, and instinct, they move in silence, watching, waiting. One day soon they will come for him. They always do. For now, the kingdom holds. At midday, the sun burns cruel and unrelenting. The pride retreats to the shade of scattered trees. Mfalme lies apart from them beneath a leadwood tree, the bark cool against his back. His breathing is deep, heavy. Flies buzz around his eyes, ignored. He dreams not of glory but of echoes, of roars that no longer shake the grass, of rivals long dead, of mates who no longer return his gaze. The lionesses know the truth. They feel it in the way he moves, in the quietness of his patrols. He can no longer protect them as he once did, and yet they stay. Loyalty, perhaps, or the lingering presence of his name, which still carries weight in this part of the wild. Nearby, a lone elephant bull passes slowly, his massive frame a silhouette against the haze. He snorts at the scent of lions, but does not veer from his path. There was a time Mfalme would have stood his ground, snarling defiance. Now he watches with calm indifference. The elephant is no threat, nor is it worth the energy. Evening approaches, and with it, a hush that settles like dust across the land. The sun bleeds into the horizon, turning the sky to fire. The pride stirs. Lionesses stretch and yawn, preparing for the night hunt. Cubs are herded together beneath a watchful eye. Mfalme rises again, joints cracking, and follows at a distance. He does not hunt anymore, he is too slow, too loud, but he walks with them because this is what kings do. They show up. The moon rises, pale and bruised. Crickets sing their eerie symphony. Hyenas giggle in the distance, mocking the dark. Somewhere beyond the ridges, a leopard snarls. The savannah becomes alive with secrets. The lionesses disappear into the grass, melting like smoke. The old king lingers near the edge of the territory, marking the boundaries with a rasping call. His voice lacks the thunder of youth, but the message is clear. This land is claimed. He is still here. For how much longer he does not know. Far away in the scrublands beyond the eastern plain, 3 silhouettes move through the darkness. Young, strong, and untested, brothers by blood or bond, but it doesn't matter. Their eyes burn with hunger. Their manes are not yet full, but their spirits are. They have smelled the pride from a distance. They have heard the weak roar of the aging lion. They know they will come. As the old lion settles beneath the stars, the wind shifts. It carries with it the scent of strangers. Faint, distant, but unmistakable. Change, challenge. The dawn will bring more than light. It will bring a reckoning. The sun rises slower these days, or so it seems to him. The first rays crawl across the plains, painting the land in amber hues. Birds cry from the thorn trees, their songs piercing the silence of another day. Survived. Mfalme stands alone beneath the rising light, the breath of morning catching in his mane. Dew glistens on the whiskers of his weathered face. Time has left its fingerprints across every inch of his body, in the heaviness of his steps, in the aches that cling to him even in sleep. But if time is the sculptor, then battle has been its hammer. His scars are not merely reminders, they are the ink of his legend. The jagged claw marks across his right flank, where a rival once lunged in a desperate last stand. The gash on his muzzle, a gift from a buffalo that refused to bow. A split ear, now curled inward like parchment curled by fire, torn long ago, in a fight for dominance over this very pride. They are trophies etched in flesh, reminders of every fight he survived. Proof that he has bled, but never broken. He limps now, a stiffness in his back leg, the result of a skirmish 2 seasons ago when a pair of young challengers thought him weak. They learned otherwise. But even victory left its mark. He drove them off, but not without cost. Since then the limp has deepened, subtle but unmissable. And in the world of lions, weakness is not a secret easily hidden. His memory stretches long. Back to the days when he and his brother once roamed as exiles, not unlike the ones that now circle his domain. They were 2 then, young, relentless, roaring their defiance into the wind. Together they brought down the old king who ruled this land before them. Together they earned this kingdom. His brother is gone now, taken by the cruel arithmetic of the wild. Perhaps poisoned at a carcass, perhaps wounded too deeply in a hunt, perhaps simply worn down by the same weight Mfalme now carries alone. He never found the body. Just one night he did not return, and so Mfalme rules alone. The pride has changed through the years. Lionesses come and go, new daughters raised, old mothers vanished. Cubs born under his reign now have cubs of their own. The threads of family weave through the grass like unseen roots, tangled and strong. His bloodline pulses through this place. It is in the twitch of a cub's ear, in the golden hue of their coats, in the sharp gaze of the lioness that now leads the hunts, Niara, the silent one. She is his daughter, though neither shows it. In the wild, bonds are felt, not spoken. And yet, when she passes him on the trail, she lowers her head slightly. A nod. A flicker of acknowledgement. The past lingers. In his youth, Mfalmi was a terror. His roar shattered silence. His shadow sent jackals scattering. He chased hyenas off kills without lifting a paw. His stride stretched from one horizon to the other. Back then, the land seemed limitless, the grass never ending, the skies forever kind. But with time, even a king learns the boundaries of his rule. Seasons have grown harsher. Rains come late. Drought gnaws at the land like a lion at a bone. The herds wander farther. Prey becomes scarcer. Even the scavengers grow bolder. The old watering holes shrink under a sun that no longer forgives. Conflict becomes routine, not just with rival lions, but with everything that claws for survival. Once his territory stretched over 40 square kilometers. Now it barely holds 20. Encroachment from nomadic males, from desperate rogues, from hyena clans grown too numerous to ignore. The land has become a battlefield of scents and signs and now of roars and silence. One afternoon the wind shifts. It carries a scent not from the pride. Fresh, foreign, male. Mfalmi lifts his head from where he rests under the old baobab. His eyes, narrow. Ears twitch. He rises slowly, but with purpose. He moves to the boundary where the grass grows sparse, marked long ago by his scent. Here, he reclaims his claim with sharp claws and low growls. He scrapes the earth. He urinates on the brush. He roars, not the booming thunder of his prime, but a guttural warning. Still powerful, still dangerous, but somewhere not far, another roar answers. Younger, clearer. It is not yet a challenge. Not yet. But it is a test. A whisper of what's to come. He turns and walks back to the pride, knowing full well that the scent will return. Stronger, bolder. One day it will not linger at the edge, and it will step into his land and call him out by name. That evening the lionesses bring down a young wildebeest. The pride feasts in silence save for the occasional growl. Mfalmi approaches last. He is still fed, still respected, but not with the same reverence. A younger lion would have taken the kill by force. Mfalmi does not. He knows the balance must be kept. He feeds slowly, tearing into flesh with careful precision. Blood mats his fur, the taste igniting old fire in his veins. For a moment he forgets his limp. He forgets the scent. He forgets the future. He is only the hunger, the instinct, the lion. That night, under a sky thick with stars, he lies beside Niara. The pride surrounds them like a living ring of muscle and breath. Cubs sleep tangled against their mothers. The world feels still, timeless. And yet in his bones Mfalmi knows. Everything ends. Every rain fades. Even the roar, once thunderous, becomes an echo. But not yet. Not tonight. Tonight, he dreams of fire, of hunts beneath a moonlit sky, of dust rising beneath his charge, of rival eyes widening in fear as his jaws close around their throat. He dreams not to escape, but to remember. To remind himself that beneath the scars, beneath the years, beneath the weight of his fading crown, he is still Mfalmi, and a king never bows, not to time, not to fear, not to death. In the distance, a new wind stirs the plains. It moves across the acacia groves and dry riverbeds, over the carcass-littered clearings and sun-scorched stones. It carries not just dust, but change, a breath of rebellion, laced with ambition. The kind of wind that stokes fire in young hearts, the kind that old lions dread. Far beyond the reach of Mfalme's territory, across the dry gulches and thorny thickets, two young males drift like shadows, lean, powerful, and eager. Their coats gleam gold under the afternoon sun. Their manes, still growing, ripple in the wind like banners of defiance. They are brothers by blood and by exile, known only as the Mwezi brothers. They were born in the east, on the edge of a crumbling lion domain where rival prides battled until there was nothing left but dust. Their father, once a dominant force, was slain in a 3-on-1 ambush. Their mother vanished soon after, either scattered in the chaos or taken by the jaws of famine. The Mwezi brothers were left behind, too young to rule, too old to cower, and so they wandered. For 2 years they have roamed as nomads. No land, no pride, only each other. They have fought for scraps, stolen kills from cheetahs, chased off vultures, and hunted alone beneath a vengeful moon. They have learned that to survive without a kingdom is to survive without mercy. But now the hunger that gnawed at their bellies has grown into something else. Hunger for power, for land, for lionesses of their own, for a pride to call theirs, and they have found it. They've been watching the borders of Mfalme's realm, the scent marks old and fading, the patrols infrequent, the lionesses seasoned and sharp, but vulnerable without a unified force behind them, and the king himself, proud, powerful, but aging. They've heard the stories of a lone ruler, feared but faltering, of an aging monarch with no coalition, no heir, no second voice to roar beside him, of a territory that whispers promise, a kingdom ready to be tested. So they wait, they watch, and they plan. The younger of the two, Tao, is impulsive. His eyes burn with challenge. He often roars into the night, daring the wind to answer. His brother, Django, is quieter, patient, observant. He studies the pride from the shadows, learning their patterns, when they hunt, where they rest, which lioness lingers longest at the kill, which cubs wander too far from safety. Together they are a threat wrapped in silence. Back in the heart of Mfalme's land, the old king senses something shifting. He hears the distant calls in the night, not loud enough to be a challenge, but close enough to be a warning. The lionesses grow restless. Nyara begins patrolling farther, marking more aggressively. The subadult cubs play less and stare more. Even the hyenas, ever the opportunists, seem emboldened, trailing the pride more closely than usual, hoping to snatch at scraps or weakness. Falme stands on the ridge one dawn, his eyes cast far beyond the plains. He does not know their names. He has not seen their faces, but he knows the signs. The way the zebra herds have moved, the sudden absence of jackals at certain watering holes, the broken thorn bushes where lions have passed. Young males are circling. He was once them. He remembers how he and his brother stood at the edge of another king's land, breathing in the scent of power and decay. He remembers the thrill of challenge, the bloodlust, the moment the fear turned into fire. Now the fire burns in someone else. One evening, Nyara returns from a solo patrol with deep scratches across her shoulder and a trail of blood down her flank. She says little, but her silence speaks volumes. The lionesses gather tighter that night and the cubs are ushered to the center. The tension thickens like mist. Falme does not ask what she saw. He already knows. The next morning, he marks every corner of his land. Slowly, methodically, he leaves his presence etched into every tree, every rock. He roars at the wind, daring it to carry his voice beyond the horizon. The message is clear. This land is not abandoned. This king still breathes. But challenges come, not as one roar, they come as ripples. And the Mwezi brothers know that victory belongs not just to the strong but to the cunning. They do not charge into battle. Not yet. They begin to fray the edges. One night they kill a zebra near Mfalme's northern boundary and drag the carcass into neutral ground. When hyenas arrive, they do not fight them. They let them feed. Let them spread the scent of death into Mfalme's land. Another time they scatter a buffalo herd into the pride's path, spooking the prey and ruining the hunt. Subtle sabotage. Little acts of war, and through it all, the lionesses grow more anxious. The cubs sleep closer to their mothers. Nyara's eyes dart more frequently toward the tree lines. Even the land seems tense. The wind harsher, the rain slower, the shadows longer. And Mfalme? He feels the weight of it all pressing into his bones. Yet he does not retreat. He does not yield. Instead, he prepares. He spends more time near the cubs, not out of affection, but as a reminder of what he must protect, of the bloodline that must not end. He patrols longer, rests less. The limp in his leg worsens, but he pushes through it. He sharpens his claws against the trunks of dead trees. He roars into the open plains, not for territory, but for defiance. He does not plan to die silently. And somewhere in the tall grass the Mwezi brothers listen. They hear the roars and smile. The king still believes he can win. So let him, because to break a lion, one must first let him stand. Only then, when the pride is watching, when the plains are silent, when the moment stretches long enough for hope to bloom, only then will they strike, and when they do, it will be no battle, it will be a reckoning. The sun bleeds into the sky, spilling crimson hues across the savannah. Day fades like a breath held too long, and dusk creeps in with silent tension. The earth hushes its voice. Even the wind pauses, as if in anticipation. This is the hour of reckoning. The golden grasslands, once humming with the life of day, fall eerily still. Herds gather tightly, twitching and sniffing the breeze. A giraffe cranes its long neck toward the east, nostrils flaring. Baboons cry out from their roosting, cliffs their calls sharp with warning. In the thorny thickets below, lions stir. Tonight the balance will shift. Falme lies atop a termite mound overlooking his kingdom. His shoulders dusted in the last light of sunset. His breath is deep, but his gaze is sharper than ever. Below, the pride is restless. Nyara paces. The cubs are herded behind the lionesses, wide-eyed and silent. They can feel the storm without hearing it. The Mwezi brothers are on the move. From the north, two shadows ripple through the grass. One low and methodical, the other bold and upright. Django leads, eyes fixed on the terrain, reading the paths like ancient script. Tao follows, his muscles tense with anticipation, every footstep daring the earth to betray him. They've waited for this night. Moonless, dry, silent, Mfalme rises slowly from the mound. The ache in his hip screams. The old wound across his chest throbs with each breath. But he doesn't hesitate. He climbs down and moves toward the pride, his presence anchoring them like a mountain against the sky. Then the roar comes, not from Mfalme, But from Tao, it splits the silence like a blade, young, arrogant, and echoing with promise. A challenge. The pride stiffens. Falme doesn't answer immediately. He turns his head slightly, listening to the echo vanish into the dark. He closes his eyes for a heartbeat. Then, with a deep inhale, he releases a roar. It rolls across the land layered with history. The sound of seasons endured, battles won, cubs protected. Not a roar of warning, a roar of war. The Mwizi brothers pause for just a moment. Then they come. The confrontation is not swift. It unfolds like a tragic symphony. Slow, deliberate, ancient. First, Django emerges from the grass, stepping boldly, into view. He doesn't rush. He stands tall, muscles coiled beneath his hide, eyes locked on the old king. Tao circles wide, flanking from the left, his pace restless. Falme steps forward alone. The lionesses do not interfere. They watch from the shadows, not with fear but with reverence. This is not their fight. This is the law of lions. One king must fall for another to rise. The night watches in silence. Django growls low, a warning. Mfalme answers with a snarl, the corners of his mouth curling back, exposing teeth still white with death. Then they move. The first clash is thunder. Muzzles crash, claws rake. Dust erupts around them like a storm in miniature. Mfalme lunges with a surprising burst of speed, catching Django off guard. His claws tear through Django's shoulder, drawing blood. The younger lion stumbles but recovers fast. He's stronger, faster, but not wiser. Tao joins the fray. He barrels in from the side, slamming into Mfalme's ribs with bone-jarring force. The old lion crumples briefly but rises with a roar so raw it silences the night. He turns on Tao, biting down hard on the younger lion's leg, drawing a howl of pain. But 2 against 1 is not a test of strength. It's a countdown. They attack in turns. One distracts, the other wounds. Mfalme fights like a creature possessed. His body, failing but his will unbroken. Every swipe of his paw leaves trails of blood. Every roar shakes the air. He holds them off longer than any lion should. But time is a predator no lion can escape. Soon, his steps falter. His breathing grows ragged. A cut above his eye blinds him, on one side. The weight of battle drags him down like chains, and the brothers see it. Django lunges low, biting at Mfalme's hind leg. Tao follows, leaping onto his back, driving claws into the thick hide. Mfalme roars in agony, twisting, bucking, thrashing, but the years betray him. He falls. The dust swallows them briefly, then silence. The brothers stand over him, panting, bloodied, victorious. Falme lies still. He does not rise again. But the pride does not move. Nyara steps forward, eyes locked on the fallen king. She does not roar. She does not weep. She lowers her head and stands in silence. Behind her, the lionesses follow. One by one, they approach Mfalme's body, not in fear, but in respect. They circle him, not the new rulers, the old one. They remember what he was, the king who fed them, who fought for them, who fathered cubs in a land of drought, who stood alone when others would have fled. His reign is over, but his legacy is not. Even Tao, puffed up with triumph, holds back. There is a quiet recognition in his eyes that this wasn't just a fight. It was a torch passed in blood. Then, as if the land itself exhales, the wind returns. It moves through the grass like a whisper, across the body of a fallen king, over the manes of the victors. Through the trees and thorn bushes, it carries the story. A lion has fallen. but the roar echoes still. The dawn comes without celebration. The sky stains a dull amber and the winds carry the faint scent of blood and dust. The savannah stirs slowly, cautiously. In the hush of morning, the echoes of the battle linger like an ache in the bones of the land. Tham's body lies where it fell. The hyenas keep their distance for now. Even the scavengers respect the weight of his final stand. His mane, matted with earth and blood, still catches the first light of morning like a crown made of fire and ash. Around him the pride watches with solemn eyes. Nyara lies closest, her breathing steady, eyes open, but unreadable. The cubs remain tucked under the bellies of the lionesses, barely peeking out from the veil of their mother's warmth. They've seen death before, but not like this. This was not prey. This was power. This was their king. Tao and Django linger on the edge of the clearing, victors, but uncelebrated. They pace, scent marking the trees, rubbing their manes on branches, clawing bark as if to scratch their names into the bones of the land. But the land does not yield easily to new rulers. The pride has not accepted them. Not yet. Power must not only be claimed, it must be earned. Trust is not taken by force, it is forged in the fires of survival. The Mwezi brothers begin their slow, silent campaign. They eat last. They approach carefully, never rushing the lionesses. They roar only at distance. Not yet the calls of dominance, but presence. Statements. We are here. We will stay. They start with the cubs. Not to harm, not now, but to observe. Django lies down at the edge of the shade, watching the youngest ones with a stillness unusual for his kind. Tao stalks the perimeter, alert, ears twitching at every stir of the grass. Their aggression simmers just beneath the surface, but so does restraint. Nyara keeps her distance. For 3 days she refuses to look them in the eye. But on the 4th morning she does. It is subtle, a glance, a flick of recognition. Not forgiveness, not submission, but acknowledgement. The winds shift. At dusk the lionesses rise and move to hunt. It is the first time since Mfalme's fall. The cubs remain behind, guarded by Nyara and one other. The hunt is not for ritual, it is for survival. Tao follows. At first he is ignored, but when a warthog breaks cover he joins the sprint. His muscles coil and release like springs, his form sleek, fast. He brings the beast down with a crushing bite to the neck. The lionesses do not share in the feast immediately. They watch, they wait, then they eat, a gesture, a step. That night Tao lies not at the edge of the pride, but within it. Django watches from a rise, the moonlight painting silver over the scars on his shoulder, the ones Mfalme gave him. He licks them, slowly, contemplatively, as though tasting the memory. As though understanding that pain is the price of power, and that all kings wear it. Time moves again. Days melt into weeks. The cubs begin to approach the new males, slowly, hesitantly. One paws at Django's tail. He turns, growls, but does not strike. The lioness who watches does not rise. She waits. Django lies back down. The cub climbs onto his back. Acceptance is not loud. It creeps in like moss on stone. The eye, pride is whole again, but something is missing. Falme's body, once whole, is now part of the earth. The scavengers came, as they always do. The bones remain, bleached by the sun, guarded by thorn. A resting place unmarked, yet sacred. Every few days Nyara visits. She walks alone, past the trees where vultures perch, past the rocks where the lizards bask. She lies beside the bones for hours, sometimes silent, sometimes speaking under her breath. No one follows her, not even the cubs. Her grief is her own, but so is her resilience, for in her eyes is not only sorrow, but fire. She does not forget the roar of the old king. She carries it now in her stride, in her breath, in the way she moves through the golden light. The pride's heart beats with her. The land, too, remembers. The rains return. Storms sweep across the plains, turning dust into rivers, the rivers into lakes. The grass swells green again, tall enough to hide elephants. Wildebeest return. Zebra whistle across the hills. The savannah breathes. Tao and Django now roar from the rocks Mafalme once claimed. Their voices are strong, booming, filled with youth and hunger. The echoes travel far, bouncing off the ridges, carried to the ears of hyenas and rival males. This land is taken, but even their roars cannot silence memory. Sometimes, in the hush before dawn, when the mist still lies low on the grass, an old sound seems to whisper through the acacia, deep, slow, thunderous, a roar not born of lungs but of legacy. Falme, the lion who fought the night, who faced 2 storms and did not kneel. His last roar still vibrates through the soil, etched into every paw print the new kings leave behind. For in the kingdom of lions, death is not the end, it is a passing of flame, and those who carry it must never forget the hands that lit it. The sky is endless again, a blue so vast it seems to drink in time itself. Clouds drift like pale ghosts across its canvas, casting moving shadows over a savannah reborn. Grass ripples in the breeze, a sea of green stretching to the horizon, alive, abundant, untamed, and within it, the legacy walks. Tao stands atop the same termite mound where Mfalme once surveyed his kingdom. His mane has grown fuller, darker, laced with the first strands of age. His eyes scan the distance not for war, but for rhythm, for the silent flow of prey, the cadence of life, the pulse of survival. Beside him, Django lounges in the shadow of an acacia, belly full, ears twitching with lazy contentment. The cubs they once watched from afar now stalk beetles in the grass, their limbs longer, voices deeper. Adolescence, now full of fire and foolishness. The pride has grown stronger. Nyara still leads the lionesses with quiet command. Her presence has aged like stone, weathered, powerful, immovable. She is no longer just mother or mate or guardian. She is the matriarch. Her steps cut through grass like wind through silk. Every movement calculated, every glance heavy with meaning. She knows every scent on the wind, every twitch in the herd, every whisper of change, and change is coming. From the north, new lions have been spotted. Strangers. Young males, sleek and golden-eyed, their manes still forming, their movements cocky. They walk with the arrogance of those who haven't yet bled for their future. They roar in the dark, not to challenge but to announce, to test the boundaries of power. Tao hears them. He does not answer, not yet. He listens. In his silence, he calculates, he remembers. He sees the ghosts of Mfalme's final stand every time the wind carries dust through the trees. He recalls what it meant to challenge, to suffer, to rise, to rule. He understands the weight that comes with a throne soaked in sacrifice. And so, the old king's lessons bloom in the mind of the new. The wild teaches, not in words, but in wounds. Django does not wait. He marks the northern ridge with thick swipes of his claws, slashing bark, coating leaves with the oil of his scent. A warning, a story written in urine and blood. We are not done. This land remembers us. The strangers do not cross, not yet, but their time will come. It always does. Beneath the stars, the pride feasts on a fresh kill, a zebra brought down with unity and precision. The cubs eat first, their faces painted red, paws twitching with satisfaction. The lionesses circle them, resting, grooming, sharing, heat and breath. Tao eats last, as Mfalme once did. He chews slowly, deliberately, not just to feed, but to observe. His amber eyes scan the pride, not for danger, but for understanding. He sees strength. He sees hope. He sees the threads of legacy weaving themselves into the bodies of the young. He sees the wild, alive in them. And still, the land endures. The dry season comes again, burning the grass to gold. Rivers shrink. The air thickens with dust and longing. Waterholes become battlegrounds. Elephants, buffalo, giraffes, zebras all vying for survival. Crocodiles lie like living fossils in the muck, patient and cruel. And yet the pride survives. They adapt. They move with the herds, shadowing the migrations, timing their hunts with the lull of exhaustion. The cubs, now nearly grown, practice, the stalk in the tall grass. They chase, mischase again. They learn the language of failure. Tao watches but does not intervene. Django trains the young males with nips and roars, driving them back when they grow too bold, too reckless. He teaches pain without harm, discipline with pride. The next rulers are forming, shaped not by battle alone, but by patience, by wisdom. One evening, a storm rolls over the horizon. Lightning dances across the sky, flashing light on the old bones that still rest beneath the thorn tree, the final resting place of Mfalme. The rain follows in sheets, drenching the land, cutting valleys into the earth. Life stirs in the wet. And once more, Niara walks to that sacred place. She stands over, the bones not to mourn but to remember. The cubs stand behind her, silent. Tao and Django watch from afar, and in that moment the pride gathers, not around a kill, not for defense, but for memory, because legacy is not just survival, it is ritual. It is the stories written in paw prints, and scars in the roar of a lion echoing through the dark in the silent nod of a lioness to her cubs. It is the land, shaped by those who ruled it and those who rose from its soil. It is Mfalme. It is Tao. It is the next kings. And it is the wind. The Bai, wind that carries the scent of blood, of life, of fire. The wind that howled through battles and whispered through graves. The wind that remembers every roar, final or first. As night settles once more over the savannah, the pride lies curled together beneath the stars. The air hums with insects. Frogs sing from the mud. The moon casts its silver light over fur and fang and memory, and in the distance a single roar rises, not loud, not angry, not fearful, but full. A roar of understanding, of inheritance, of a flame that will never die. For in the wild, kings are not eternal, but their echoes are. And long after their bodies return to dust, their stories walk on, with every paw print left in the dirt, with every breath drawn beneath the open sky, with every final roar.